First of all, let's, okay, no big sparks. So the electricals are happy so far. Welcome back to the channel. We are right back on the binder. Just finished up brakes. Everything's happy there. But then we wanted to go take it for a little toodles. And, you know, the generator was kind of charging before. We knew we needed a voltage regulator, because if you ran the headlights, one of the contacts in the voltage regulator would not get happy and would actually not release. It would almost kind of arc and stay shut, and then when you shut the truck off, that would cause like an internal short, and it wasn't happy. So we were going to get a voltage regulator, and well, we did get a voltage regulator, but before that we ran it just a little bit and it wasn't charging, and we had to do a little fiddling with the factory generator a few months ago, and it would charge, but it wasn't great. Well, we did some more testing, and we're going to give up on it. It might charge just a hair, but there's internally there's some problems, and we're just kind of over it at this point. And what we picked up today is the old one-wire alternator. Now, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you can get a GM style alternator that has just one wire hookup. It's internally regulated. It puts out about 14 and a half volts. Should be really happy. And so we don't need the old-fashioned style voltage regulator. We don't need the generator, and we only need one wire from the battery to hook this up. So the biggest thing we're going to have to do is not the wiring, because here's our battery power here. It went to the voltage regulator. I just have it capped off just in case. The armature and the field wires that went to the voltage regulator, they just get deleted on. But we physically have to mount the new one-wire alternator where the generator is now. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think we can put the bottom ear here, and I think this bracketries has enough adjustability that we can make it work for the top ear. We'll run back in, get a belt, and then we'll have alternator powering this electrical system instead of generator. That's the plan. I'm going to be very optimistic and say 1 hour, take generator out, install alternator, and get belts lined up. I mean, we can try. Let's do it. All right, first of all, let's get rid of the armature and field wires. We don't need those where we're going. Delete. Belt needs to come off. So that should happen. There we go. Let him hang for now. Bracket falls out of the way. bracketries. Is that a half? That's a half. That's a half too. Bolt. Of course, we have the, there we go, 2 bolts out. Okay, right out of the gate, our pulley is not happy. To be right in the middle of that ear. What we need to do, we want this guy to mount right about there. And that's right in the middle of that bracketries. Now, what we could do, possible, and if we flip it over and we do something like that, and then we can space it. All right, so here's where we're at so far. Now, if you know, you know, and you notice, we're kind of upside down. We've got the small ear down here on the bottom mount, the big ear's up here. It's because we can't put the big ear here without cutting about half of it off. This isn't going to be a lifelong Freedom One Garage truck. We're going to sell this off to the next lucky owner, and that chicker dude needs to be able to replace on this without doing major surgery. It's not going to hurt it to be upside down, and it's going to work out pretty well. We'll have the pivot down here. We'll take a decent piece of strap and we'll support the back of the alternator with this mounting bolt here going down to the back of this bracket here. That'll take care of the mount. Now, the tensioning of the belt, I think we're going to be able to use this belt. We have another issue though, right here, is we can't get to our bolt hole with our slide the way it'll interfere with the fan. So what we need to do, I think, is we're going to take a little pie cut out of the elbow in this bracket and cinch it down, and that way this can come down and get to this bolt hole here, and should work. So that's what we're going to do right now, and then once we get that situated, we got to do the back bracket. And oh, by the way, the stopwatch was paused. I forgot all about it being prom weekend, and so we had to go, you know, Jalen's doing the prom thing. Check out our social medias. Check out the cool vehicle he and his buddy took to prom. But anyway, we're gonna cut this and get this to where it's happy. We'll build our back strap, and we'll be well on our way to getting this thing mounted. Okay, I think we got it. I've in about 15-20 minutes or so into this. So we took our L bracket here, and then we sliced the pie. We put a little triangular cut in it right in this inside of this bend, and then we squeezed it. So now we can come up here and we can catch our now adjusting bolt without hitting the fins. So that's all right, and we got plenty of movement here and there. We also stepped it over. We could have put a bunch of spacers on here, but since we were modifying this anyway, we just put it in the vise and gave it a nice little jog. So now it lines up with the front edge of this mounting ear. And then on the back, we found a piece of strap steel about 3/16 thick, and Put a bend in it here, drilled a 5/16 hole for this metric bolt that goes in the back of this alternator. And then we drilled a 5/16 bolt hole down here, measuring. This is about 3 inches this way and about 5 inches from this bolt to this bolt. And because both of these are perpendicular, both at 90 degrees, this whole bracketry can rotate some with the alternator. Now, it's on a different pivot point, but if we have to, we can make this hole a little bit bigger if we need to free up some space here. But I think we're just about right. So we're going to take both these brackets off. We got to weld our cut shut here and make that right. And then we're going to spritz them both with a little black paint. And then we've got one whole wire to hook up, and we'll be charging like a son of a gun. All right, bracketries are welded up and cleaned up, and they're drying with some semi-gloss black engine enamel. So while they're doing that, we're going to go through and talk about this wiring diagram and the technicalities of wiring these alternators, especially this one, because it's a one-wire alternator, which means you hook up one wire. And if you're like me the first couple times and you don't know what you're doing, well, here it is. This guy will charge out of this post. He grounds through the case. The regulator, everything is built into the alternator. It doesn't receive a trigger signal. It doesn't get switched on and off. It maintains its own voltage, and as long as it's spinning, it is charging. So this needs battery voltage. And if you remember right, on our voltage regulator that we took out of here, we had 3 connections: field, armature, and one was labeled BAT, battery. Well, the field and armature wires are laying on the floor. We're not using them. Well, kind of, sort of. And here is our connection that we previously taped up that went to the battery terminal. This is your battery voltage, which then goes in through this loom into here, feeds the entire car, and does all the other good battery electrical things. So basically, all we got to do is get, and then this goes, I think this is actually the horn relay in this old guy, but we got to get these 2 wires, basically this blue one and the white one can hang out with it, over to here. So we'll come back over here to our field and armature wires, and we'll spread out this wire keeper here. And especially our armature wire, not only did we build it with a good 10 gauge wire, but we put a nice 12 gauge feasible link on the end. So that's going to go here, and then we will butt connect, splice to here. Oh my gosh, there's tools laying all over the place. So let me go get one whole connector and we'll be done wiring up this alternator. All right, here we are. We got our one connection made. We even ran the wire through this, factory little wire holder plastic thingamajobber. And we got her hooked up to the back of the alternator. Brackets are painted, they're on, everything's tight. The alignment of the belt looks really nice. We're tight on the belt. Plus we got, look at this. In 1962, a tensioner, a spring-loaded tensioner. Pretty cool. But I think we're ready. First of all, let's... Okay, no big sparks. So the electricals are happy so far. I want to check a couple of connections over here really quick. Make sure we do have the battery voltages. Oh, hang on. Hook it up to ground maybe. Make sure we do have the battery voltages, and we do. All right, now let's crank her up. I'm gonna put you guys here just in case if there's gonna be a big electrical storm, you can tell me if it's bad. I don't know what it does. All right, neutralis. Pump. Boys and girls, we got an amp gauge that says we're charging. I don't know what that groaning and moaning noise is, but let's check voltages. There's a meter, touch it to positive, 13.9. Heck yeah, I can't rev it up and hold the camera and hold the probe at the same time. Maybe if we, there we go. That makes me feel mucho better. Let's check belt alignment again. Belt looks great. Life is good. I think we might have a noisy water pump though. Let's we're gonna investigate that. So it turns out that thing making that moan and groaning noise in the front of this engine was most likely the bearing in our idler pulley. But check this out. Did a little digging down in here under the crud. It's got that thing right there is a little lid. You can actually oil that sucker. So we dug the crud from out around it and vacuumed it all out. There was a little bit of crud inside of there, and we just took some 30 weight motor oil and filled that little cavity up, and then we tippy tapped on it a little bit, and it seems to be helping. We'll have to monitor that, but odds are I've got one of these similar idlers. It's not spring loaded, but on the Jeep, and it has an actual bearing, a sealed bearing that, hey, guess what, you can take out and service and replace. So we'll keep an eye on it. I think we're probably going to be okay, but you never know. That's simple, folks. You know, it used to be going from generators to alternators required a little bit of, you know, this and that wiring and stuff, but especially lately, and with the advent of these tractor guys especially, and I know some of you tractor guys watch my channel, the one-wire alternators, you guys live by them. And they really are pretty reliable, and they're easy peasy to do. The worst part is getting things to line up. And for most things, you can get a kit. I didn't even bother looking for a kit for a 62 International 110. Thanks for watching this one. Hopefully you got something out of that. And if you're battling a generator voltage regulator issue, maybe it's time just to ditch that stuff and get after something new like an alternator. Appreciate you watching our stuff. See you on the next video.